So the Switch 2 has been out for over a year now. This is my personal version of the handheld hybrid console. And really just wanted to go over and kind of do a check-in on both my updated first year of my Switch 2 collection, as well as how my Switch 1 collection has evolved over that past year. I definitely haven't stopped collecting on the Switch 1. Definitely have tried to be a little bit more curated with my recent pickups, not trying to pick up absolutely every single physical game that is released, and tried to be a little bit more intentional about my purchases with all of the games that have been releasing. It's just felt like a torrent of releases, but also really not focusing at all on those game key card releases unless I'm absolutely forced into it. But without further ado, let's kind of get into it. Sit back, grab a snack. This is going to be a rather long one. If you've seen some of my other collection videos before, this is by far the largest one that I have. Well over 200 original Switch games, and a decent chunk of Switch 2 games. We will start with those Switch 2 games and then move into Switch 1 and kind of big box games from there. So starting off with those physical Switch 2 copies, we do have a recent pickup for me, which is Bang Bang Bandits. This is an import title, kind of a light gun shooter game. I literally just got this 3 or 4 days ago before I went on a recent vacation trip for my sister's wedding, but haven't gotten a chance to crack into this one as of yet, but I've heard really good things about this. Planning on getting to this possibly right after I shoot the filming for this video, so really excited to have that one as part of the collection finally. Donkey Kong Bonanza is something that I've only put a couple of hours into. Much like Mario Odyssey, the concept intrigued me, but hasn't really grabbed me a ton from the limited time that I've been able to play it, but still very excited to put a little bit more time into it once I do have some dedicated gaps in kind of the gaming release timeline. Up next is Fantasy Life I. I will be honest, I had more intention to play this, more than kind of the 30-minute spurts that I have. My wife has probably gotten more playtime out of this on both Switch 2 and PC than I have personally, but I will also support pretty much anything Level 5 puts out because I feel like they are just really, really great at what they do. A more recent pickup was Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. I have not gotten a chance to play this as of yet, even though it is an open copy. I was able to get this for, I think, $30 or $35 from kind of a Target glitch that they had. They had a buy 2 get $30 off if you bought 2 specific Nintendo Switch 2 titles, but the coupon ended up double stacking, so it ended up being $30 off each game. So I think it ended up being like $35 for each. I got this and another game you'll see upcoming here shortly with that, so that's why this one has been kind of just sitting in the collection for a little bit. Kirby Air Riders, I have put a little bit of time into, probably about 3 hours or so. Haven't dabbled fully into it as of yet. It's enjoyable. It's definitely not something that I was kind of enamored with. I do feel like it is a little bit more of a a cult fan favorite type game on the Switch 2 right now, much like the original Kirby Air Riders. It's not going to have the same gravitational pull that, say, a Mario Kart will or anything like that, with the kind of one button control and things like that, but it's a fun enough game. I just don't know if for most people picking this up at launch at $70 was really a reasonable ask. I was able to get it, I think, for around $50, so it felt a little bit more reasonable to me, but still happy to have this as part of the collection. The big, kind of asterisk around Mario Kart World was that $80 price tag at launch. Most people got it digitally with their Switch 2 bundles. I was not fortunate enough to get that bundle, so I had to opt for it physically, which I'm, happy with looking at it in hindsight. I would much rather have a physical copy of it, but paying $80 for a game just really stings overall. It doesn't really matter what the game is. Overall, I haven't really warmed up to Mario Kart World that much. I still think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe right now is a more complete package, and I know I have friends that are going back to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, especially because of the backwards compatibility over Mario Kart 8 World right now. I do think it will eventually get to the same place, if not better than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, just with years and years of iteration and update. But there's not as many tracks. It doesn't feel like there's as much fleshing out of that open world that I would have liked in Mario Kart World right now, and it just didn't really hit the same for me. I put about 10 to 12 hours into it, beat the whole, all 3 difficulty levels and everything like that, and unlock the mirror cups and things like that, but not something I really see myself just going back to over and over again. I haven't really played it since that original launch month, excuse me. Mario Tennis Fever, I have played a little bit of. I tried to play a little bit of the campaign, and it was just a bunch of training missions over and over and over again. Wasn't super engaged with that. The regular game, when you're talking about the versus mode and the battles, was really interesting. The rackets and the characters mixed together make some interesting mechanics, and it feels a lot more like a party game than the previous entry Aces did. But again, that main campaign, which is what I was trying to hit up first, got really, really, really boring because it was just training mode after training mode that you were hopping from section to section, and it was just hours of that, and it just did not feel very engaging. So this is one I'll have to get back to when I do want to just kind of plow through that campaign to unlock some of the initial unlockables. But overall, the core gameplay is good once you actually get down to it, but I feel like they definitely could have done something different with the campaign here. That other game that I picked up as part of that Target kind of glitch error sale was Metroid Prime Beyond. This is still sealed right now. I am still working my way through Metroid Prime Remastered on the Switch, or for the Switch 2 updated res that they have now with kind of the backwards compatibility boost. Want to finish Metroid Prime Remastered before I fully dive into this, just for the continuity of it all. But I am excited to play this despite the rumors and kind of the hearsay about the millennial writing in this. I've always been a huge Metroid fan, so I'm happy to have this as part of the collection. A game that I got solely based off of kind of word of mouth, and the fact that it was one of the cheapest complete on cart physicals, was Mio Memories in Orbit. Now I've plopped this into my console but haven't really put any time into it as of yet. This launched at $29.99 US, which is obscenely cheap for a full-on cartridge physical game. I can't imagine at the time that they made any more than like $2 or $3 total from the sale of this game physically. I know at that price point we'd mainly see game key cards, if only fully digital releases. So the fact that this came out fully complete on cartridge, and I checked and opened it on day one, and it was complete on the disc. There was complete on the cartridge, and there was no additional updates needed. It was kind of remarkable to see. So really happy to have this as part of the collection, and it's kind of that Metroidvania style. So I will definitely have to get around to this sometime soon here. The one game key that I do have in my collection is my wife's copy of Pokemon Pokopia. Now, we did have 2 copies of this at launch, and what we found is that we just weren't playing it concurrently enough to justify having 2 copies. So I sold off my copy to fund the purchase of some other games. But we do have this one copy, which is our one game key card, because there was no other option besides the game key or getting it digitally. And so that's going to be kind of the theme of the Nintendo Switch 2 lifecycle for me, I think, is that when that's the only option and there's no option to get the game on any other platform, that's the route that I'll have to go. Luckily, that doesn't seem to be the case for many games. There aren't a ton of games that seem to be locked to Nintendo's platform that are either third party or first party that are only going to be in this keycard format. I feel like this hopefully will be a one-off scenario, but this is the one game keycard out of my entire Nintendo Switch 2 game collection right now. Pokemon Legends ZA is a game that I've put about 4 hours into. My wife has put 20 plus into. It was really her jumping off point for the Pokemon series, and something that has really gotten her engaged with it. I've had an enjoyable time with what I've done in it so far. It's definitely different from the traditional or mainline Pokemon games, but again, didn't really seem to grab me beyond kind of its initial hours. It's just kind of a standard RPG to me, and when there was so much else coming out at the time that just seemed to be more engaging last year in 2025, it just wasn't something that I wanted to put more time into. But I do want to put further hours into this before the next mainline Pokemon title comes out for sure. So it is something I do plan on revisiting. Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma is something that I have completed 100%. Put a lot of time into this game. Really appreciated at launch. This was one of the true fully on cartridge physical games, and even came with this little booklet, as I highlighted previously. It's really, really really a great job that Marvelous has been doing here in terms of their physical releases, and I can't commend them enough. This is also just a great game. So if you haven't given Rune Factory Guardians of Zuma a chance, I believe it's on PC and PS5 now as well. Highly recommend this one, even if you're not normally a Rune Factory person. You can kind of breeze through a lot of the farming mechanics or the town building mechanics if that's not really your thing. The combat is pretty good. The world building, there's romance options. It's a really good, well-rounded game and story overall. Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar. Something that my wife and I bought together. I have not really put a ton of time into this one, maybe about an hour or so. My wife has probably put close to 30 hours into this one. It is a remake, I believe, of a DS game. No combat or anything like that involved, really just story and kind of farming and planning your kind of little townscape. Which, is interesting enough, but was not something I was in the mood for at the time that it launched. So it's kind of sat, at least in my personal backlog right now, but I'm glad that she's gotten a lot of time out of this thus far. And then the last game as part of my Switch 2 collection right now is Yuka Replay League, which I have put a couple of hours into so far. Really enjoyed this so far. I remember when the original Yooka-Laylee came out, just seemed like there was something missing. It wasn't super engaging, and this seems to fix a lot of those issues, both with controls, story pacing, things of that nature. I was able to get a pretty screaming deal on this for about $30, which is what I think the digital re-release goes for as well. So to be able to get that physically on the cartridge was really advantageous to me. So those are my Switch 2 physical games, and I think if I'm looking at it here, I think that's about 14 in total that I have right now. So a pretty good start after one year. That's more than one game a month that we're looking at for that current physical games collection selection. So I'm pretty happy with that. Like I said, trying to keep this as curated as possible. The majority of these are going to be Nintendo first-party games. And then some of these, a couple of them are going to be imports. But really just trying to focus on games that I actually am going to play and have the time to play, right? And so as we get into the next section, which is going to be my Switch 1 games, that's kind of going to be a recurring theme, right? We're going to see a lot of games that maybe still sealed or I haven't gotten the chance to get around to, and that's kind of shaped how I'm trying to form the Switch 2 collection. So that's the Switch 2 games that I have thus far. Let's start into this long road of Switch 1 titles. All right, first stack here is going to be kind of short. It's going to be some of the Asian English or Japan import games, basically import games that don't have English on the spine for the Switch 1. The first of which is going to be the Chrono Arc Deluxe Edition. This is a pretty recent release on Switch 1. This is kind of a mix of a card battler. The best way I can describe this is basically if you took Slay the Spire, you put anime cards and characters in its place, and you made it a lot more difficult in some senses. It has been pretty interesting what I've played thus far, but haven't gotten super deep into it because I feel like I need to be fully engaged with this as like the main thing that I'm playing in order to be able to, fully see this all the way through. And I had really been interested in playing it because I just had kind of 100%ed as much as I could Slay the Spire 2, had beaten that with every character that was available at the time, and so kind of burnt myself off on that type of game at the time. So this is something I'm planning to go back and revisit once I am not so deep down that rabbit hole at the current moment. Next up is going to be the Corpse Party Tetralogy Pack. This was planned to have a North American release. That ended up being canceled due to, I believe, North American Nintendo censorship with the ages of the characters or basically the looks of the ages of the characters. So this is 4 of the Corpse Party games. Was able to get this Japanese import from Video Games Plus. I believe it's one of the only places you can get it. Video Games Plus, PNP Games, and Play Asia are some of the only places you can get it in North America. Depending on your region and where you are located, shipping may vary. So obviously take a look at that. But importing it from Japan, I think, is one of the only times that, or only ways you can get this physically. So just keep that in mind. Katana Kami is essentially a Diablo-like game. I have heard good things about it, have not gotten a chance to play it as of yet, but I've had this one for quite some time. I know it is a Spike Chunsoft published title, so that was already on my list. I got this many Christmases ago as part of a big bundle from Play Asia, but it has just been kind of sitting in my backlog for quite some time. Lover Kiss Endless Memories also has a Nintendo Switch 2 edition. So I would just get that version if you were looking to buy this in the near future and you have a Switch 2. But this is essentially a visual novel photography game thing, where you're, like at a high school and you're taking photos, and yeah. I don't really know how else to describe it. It's a weird story game thing. I've played like 4 hours of it. I'm not in love with it or anything like that, but it's been interesting enough. I'm probably not going to see it to the end of the credits, but it was weird enough to put on my import list. So, happy to have that as part of the collection. Seven Pirates Age, which is probably one of the most cultured games as part of my entire collection. I believe you can still get this through Play Asia, as well as some other retailers, but basically is a RPG where you enhance certain parts of your party in order to level up and engage in some fights. So take that as you will, and take that age rating as you will. So have played that all the way through previously, but that is the last of the imports that I have that do not have English on the spine. At least I'm pretty sure it is, because that's what's at the front of my shelf. So all right, next up we will start with the large endeavor of going through all of my Nintendo Switch 1 games alphabetically, at least as far as I can tell. There may be certain things out of order. They may have gotten order at some point because, like I said, there's over 200 of these total. So let's continue on with that. We do have Ninth Dawn 3, Shadow of Earthville. Have not gotten a chance to play this as of yet, but it does have a card game in it, apparently. And this is one of those cases where it kind of was, I believe, a pickup from Woot for like just a couple of bucks. So that's why it's part of the collection. 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim is really kicking me in the side every time I do a collection video, and I say I haven't played this yet because it's from one of my favorite developers, which is Vanillaware, and I really just have not gotten a chance to put the time into this, and that really just stinks because I've heard so much, so many great things about this. I've only put about an hour into it and then come to a stop. I have to make some time to play this. It's really eating at my backlog. So that's gonna be a priority for me in this upcoming year. 30-in-1 game collection, again, another Woot, why not kind of pickup. I think it might have been $8. Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp. I have lended this game out to friends. I have had multiple friends beat this game. I still have not tried this game. So that's part of my collection. I'm glad other people have enjoyed it, but I have not gotten the chance to. AI, the Somnium Files Day 1 Edition, and the Somnium Files Nirvana Edition. I will be honest, I thought I lost these games. So I started playing these on my Steam Deck because I was able to get them for really cheap digitally. And like I said, I thought I'd lost these in my recent move, and then I found them not too long ago. So I had the game cases, but I couldn't find the cartridges, and I ended up getting these for like a really good price at GameStop because somebody had traded in this copy along with a bunch of other visual novel type games. And I ended up finding the game keys, and so now I'm like, well, maybe I need to go back and just restart this on Switch. So I'm still trying to determine what I'm going to do there because I have put a decent amount of time into the Somnium Files on my Steam Deck. What I might do is just play that through on PC and continue playing this through on PC, and then just keep my sealed copies physically, so that I have that physical game back up. But still decisions to be made there, but happy to have those two for now, and decisions to be coming later on those. Air Twister is basically this sideways looking shmup, another Woot pickup that I got. I think it was like $14. I believe this also had a limited run release back in the day, but this is an in published copy. I haven't heard amazing things about this, but it is something I do want to get around to at some point. Akiba's Trip, Hellbound and Debriefed. This is also one of those games that I thought I had lost in the move, and so I had basically resigned myself to not being able to find it, and then again it had turned up within the past few months or so. So happy to have that back as part of the collection. I do have another one of the Akiba's Trip games as well that we'll see later as one of my big box versions. Everyone has to have a copy of Animal Crossing. We have a copy digitally that my wife and I share, as well as this physical copy. I will one day probably upgrade to the Nintendo Switch 2 edition version of this, just so that I have the most complete on cartridge version of this. And I do plan on doing that, I think, for a lot of the Nintendo Switch 2 edition games, as much as I hate double dipping like that. I just like to, at least in my games collection, not have to rely on the internet or Nintendo's basically maintenance of online systems to play games in the best possible way. So I'd rather have that upgrade physically on the cartridge. But for right now, we have this version, and I will wait for a sale for the Switch 2 edition and then sell this one off. Whoop, just dropped a bunch of games. Another Code Recollection is something I have not gotten a chance to get around to yet. Again, these are remakes of, I think, DS era games. Bought this day one on sale. I think I was able to get it for about $40 instead of $60, but have not gotten a chance to play this as of yet. Iokana, 4 Rhythms Across the Blue. I had this on my Steam wishlist forever, and then there was a sale at VGP, so I picked this up. This is yet another visual novel that I have not gotten a chance to dive into. I try not to play more than one visual novel at once because I will get my threads crossed very easily, but I've heard great things about this, and so this will be on that docket once my current selection of visual novels is currently off the docket. ARMS, again, another Switch 1 launch window kind of title that I feel like is kind of just essential if you have a large Switch 1 collection. I do wonder if they'll ever do any kind of sequel or any kind of follow-up to this. I don't think it's sold well enough to really warrant that, but I did enjoy my time with ARMS. Astral Chain, I am really hoping that we get some kind of either sequel, Switch 2 edition for this, whatever it may be, hopefully both. I have gotten a chance to play a little bit more of this in the past year, and I've really enjoyed it thus far. Haven't gone all the way though, because I am kind of holding out hope and just waiting that there's a Switch 2 edition. I'm hoping that there's enough like public outcry or enough, posting of people on Reddit threads or whatever, that we get a Switch 2 edition for this. I feel like it would be easy enough for them to just say, hey, this is going to be, even if it's just 720 or 1080p and 60 FPS now, like just unlock the frame rate. I would much rather that be the case than playing it at 30 FPS still, because this game I think deserves that treatment. So anything from Platinum Games really on the Switch is really a treat. Astronite, I have flirted with selling this multiple times because I do believe I have this on Steam. It is kind of like a little 8 or 16-bit platformer thing. This probably won't be too long for the collection once I do find some method of offloading it, but it is in here right now. Azure Lane Crosswave, I have put a decent amount of time into. This is probably the worst way to play this game. I'll be honest, it is the worst running and worst performing. You can play this on Steam, you can play it on PS4, but it is quite funny and unique. I know that Azure Lane is a big mobile gacha thing now, in terms of what's available in terms of the mainline franchise, but basically you play as these girls who are basically ships. And you kind of do fights on the water with that. It's kind of like an RPG in that form, but it's just a really unique and weird title to have on the Switch, so I think it's kind of interesting to have as part of the collection. Balatro, I love having this physical copy, but I definitely don't play this anymore on the Switch. I definitely have played more on my Steam Deck and on PC, but this came with these card packs, and that's the real reason why I was excited about this. I think I also got this for like $20, which was really great, so happy to support it physically. I love when we get that physical release treatment, even if it is after a game's mainline release. If you haven't played Balatro, do yourself a favor and find your new addiction there. Next up, we have Baton Kaitos. I feel like I always mispronounce that. I probably already did as well. Have not gotten a chance to play this as of yet because, again, super meaty JRPGs that I just have not gotten a chance to dabble into. But this is another import title I believe I got from VGP back in the day. We have Bayonetta 1, Bayonetta 2, and Bayonetta 3. And I do have Bayonetta 3 as part of a big box collector's edition. Don't have that out right now, but love this series, love this franchise. Have not gotten a chance to play Bayonetta Cereza and the Lost Demon as of yet, mainly because it's not in the style of the other 3 Bayonetta games. But happy to have all of these as part of the collection. I do hope that we get to see more from Bayonetta in the future. Hopefully it's not in this style. Hopefully it's more of the traditional mainline, Platinum Games fare, but really, really happy to have these complete all on the same system. I love the Switch one for that, is that we have things like Xenoblade and we have things like Bayonetta where we can get an entire franchise together on the same system. So that's really cool to see. And then the final one from this stack, Clubhouse Games 51 Worldwide Classics, kind of just an essential party game to have, killing time if you're on vacation with family, kind of just a no-brainer to have. So absolutely love this game. We've put tens of hours into this as well. All right, so next very large stack that we're going to get into, we will start with Cocoon. Again, probably one of the worst ways to play this title. I have enjoyed the time that I put into it, but I probably put it down after about 3 or 4 hours, simply because the performance and kind of the visuals of it were really diminished on the original Switch. So I probably will be offloading this copy at some point in the near future, just so that I can pick it back up and play it on something else. I really do love almost everything Annapurna makes, including this title, but the Switch one was just not the place to play it. I did get a good deal on it, so I don't feel too bad about it, but it just was not the best experience overall. Cotton Fantasy, I have not gotten a chance to play this as of yet. I've heard great things about a lot of the Cotton games, including Cotton Reboot as well, but have just not gotten a chance to dabble into this. A lot of the shmups I kind of have to wait until I'm in the absolute right mindset to play, because otherwise I will crash out on how bad I am at those. Cruise and Blast, I have talked about this game endlessly with friends and family. Cannot recommend this one enough. They also have recently made Raw Thrills, the Fast and Furious Arcade Edition game, which is essentially just Cruise and Blast with a Fast and Furious skin on it. Recommend both of them, but really Cruise and Blast, if you have a Switch one, is the more full-fledged and kind of meaty game. So I would highly recommend this, especially because it's constantly on sale for $20. It is just a really great time. It is literally that arcade racer that you would double stomp for the nitro, and your car does those crazy flips and everything, and you can race as a helicopter or a dinosaur or whatever. Like, it is that crazy game on a home console. It is incredible. Absolutely recommend this game. Another game that I absolutely recommend, Danganronpa Decadence, which is multiple Danganronpa games, 1, 2, and 3, and I believe it has Ultimate Summer Camp on it as well. I know we're getting a remake or rehashing of Danganronpa 2 soon, so this may not be the most complete package anymore, right? But even if you're just buying this to play the original Danganronpa, I think it's a worthy cause to have. I do have this as part of a bigger box collector's edition as well, but you can just get this individually still. I think it goes on sale all the time for like 30 or 40 bucks. Danganronpa is, I think, if you're talking about the visual novel space, probably one of the top 5 or top 10 of all time. And just in terms of essential games, I would classify this as one of the top 50 or top 100 that you would need to play if you've ever been interested in video games. I think of it that highly, so absolutely recommend this. And I think playing it on a handheld, like it was originally released on with the PS Vita, is absolutely how you should go about it. So absolutely recommend this one. Dead Cells Return to Castlevania. This has been languishing in my backlog for I don't know how long. I love Castlevania, haven't really dabbled too much in Dead Cells. This is still sealed, so again, kicking myself for that one. Same thing with Catherine Full Body. I've had a copy of the original Catherine in my Steam library for so long. I do know I want to play Catherine Full Body rather than the base Catherine game, because I know there's extra missions and things to it. But every Atlas game just takes so long to get through, so I really have to set time aside for that. And there's only so many JRPGs I can play concurrently, so this is still sitting in my backlog, but will definitely not be removed from it because I do want to get around to it eventually. Cadence of Hyrule, Crypt of the Necrodancer was a more recent pickup, I think within the past year or so, and I do want to get around to this at some point soon. I have heard great things about it. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, really enjoyed this one. Didn't get to play it on the Wii U because I did not have a Wii U, but really enjoyed my time with it on the Nintendo Switch, and have played this 100%. So really enjoyed it. Dead or Alive Extreme 3 Scarlet. I do have this on the Switch. You can get it on the PS4 as well. This is just, kind of ridiculousness encapsulated. We do have the newer Venus Vacation Prism, which is more of a visual novel style game. This is truly a sports title, so this is truly going to be that volleyball game, and then I think there's some poker that you can do in it as well, but this is just silly goofy fun. I do see this spike a lot in price because they lose stock of this at some of the import websites. Don't pay over MSRP for this. I see it come back in stock all the time, so just have some patience if you are interested in this title. It'll come back at some point. Detective Pikachu Returns is a game that I tried my best to enjoy, but I really just did not. The writing felt really poor. The story was just not that great, and I really only have this in my collection because I'm worried about if I ever do want to give it another shot or kind of get back into it. It's a Pokemon game, of course, so I feel like the prices will spike at some point. So I really kind of just have it just as kind of hedging my bets for that future, but did not enjoy my time with it. And I think the Metacritic kind of reflects that for a lot of people as well. So not really at the top of my, have to get back to list. Diablo 3 Eternal Collection. This is how I played the majority of Diablo 3. This has been a really enjoyable way to play that for me. I thought it ran pretty well on Switch, which was surprising, but then again, it was a game that came out in 2012, so the hardware wasn't that out of date for it. But this includes all of the Diablo 3 content, so it's really feature packed. I was able to get this for like $20 or so. I think it's a bit more harder to come by now, so it may be a bit pricier at the current moment, but if you can get your hands on the Eternal Collection, I would highly recommend it, especially if you haven't played Diablo 3 before, but obviously Diablo 4 is out now, so if you're going to play one or the other, I'd probably go for Diablo 4. Digimon Survive, have not gotten a chance to play this as of yet. I know this is a more visual novel focused story, I believe, so something I do want to get around to eventually. I have dabbled in the more recent Digimon release that came out in 2025, I believe, and I have enjoyed my time with that, so I do want to get into this one as well, and grew up watching a few and reading a few Digimon books as well, so that is something I do have to get back to in my backlog. Distraint Collection. I don't know how long this will be in the collection for. I do see this go on sale quite a bit on Steam, and this was kind of just a impromptu Play Asia pickup. It is an East Asia Soft exclusive. They are essentially just like side scrollers with some weird stories in it, but I know this is a lot more of an obscure title, or a couple of titles I should say, but haven't really gotten a chance to dive too deep into that. Dodgeball Academia is a really interesting game. The time that I have played with it, I have enjoyed, but it wasn't something that like grabbed me outright to where I kept wanting to go back to it. There is a story based mode, and there's also a competitive mode, so there's something for both sides of the coin there, but I know it does go on sale on Steam quite a bit. But this Humble edition was really nice to get. I think I was able to get this from GameStop for like $10 back in the day, which felt really cool, and that was at the time when Switch games were really just, they had that Switch tax to them, so it was kind of unheard of to get a Switch game for $10 or under, so really happy to have that here. Dokapon Kingdom Connect. If you've played Dokapon Kingdom or you know anything about Dokapon Kingdom, you've probably had many a rift in your friendships formed from the chaos that this game causes. Really happy to have this on my Switch. I was either going to have it on my Switch or buy a Wii copy, but luckily they re-released it on the Switch, so really happy to have this. This is a really chaotic, basically board game based party game, but something that will, if you thought Mario Party tore people apart, this will do that even more. It's crazy. Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, one of the last games that came out on the Switch One that I had yet to pick up. That was a first party published title. Still sealed right now because I haven't gotten a chance to get around to it. I played this, believe it or not, on the 3DS, which again, for some reason, I just love playing games on the worst possible console or in the worst possible format to play it. I'm happy to have it on the Switch now. I don't know if I'll ever open this because, again, I have played this game before, but it's just nice to have that physical copy again, to where if I do want to go back and play it, I absolutely can. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. I have not played all the way through. I have played a few levels of it. Again, want to dedicate the time to go fully through it when I am in the mood for a good platformer. And I don't know whether I will play this or I will play Bonanza first, but I know one of them will have to come before the other at some point. Dragon Quest XI, Echoes of an Elusive Age S Definitive Edition, or whatever the subtitle versions are. I got this way back in the day on a GameStop sale. I know this is harder to come by now. Obviously, you can still, you can still get this digitally, so there's not a ton of strife there, but if you're a physical collector like me, I feel like this has gotten harder to come by, which is kind of frustrating because there hasn't been a new mainline Dragon Quest release in some time. And so I'm hopeful that now that there's more popularity around it, maybe we'll get further re-releases, maybe we'll get further ports, whatever it may be. We'll see more of that from the Dragon Quest franchise in the future. But I just really love, I mean, I can't go wrong with the art style here. I just hope that when 12 comes out, you know, we'll see the franchise moving forward, if it ever comes out, because I feel like they just keep delaying it or restarting it or whatever they're doing and announcing that as trailers comes out. Or we keep getting games like this, which is Dragon Quest Monsters: The Dark Prince, which I'll be honest, I picked up because it was really cheap on sale. And then we get more announcements for Dragon Quest Monsters games, and then they just don't look great. So I haven't really gotten a chance to play this as of yet. These games essentially play like Pokemon games, from what I understand, if you want a worse Pokemon game. So that's not super enticing to me all the time, which is probably why I haven't cracked this open as of yet. Dragon Quest Treasures, I also still have sealed. Again, just part of the backlog. Really have to decide if I want to keep these as part of my Switch backlog or if I want to sell them, maybe pick them up as part of my Steam Family Library, because that is something that has happened and kind of evolved and become a consideration is, do I keep these physically or do I add them to a Steam Family Library so that others in my family, either living with me or outside my house, can play them more easily, and especially if they play better on PC. So this is another one of those games that I've been pondering that about. Dust Diver, haven't gotten a chance to dive too much into this, but I have Dust Diver 1 here on Switch, and I believe I have Dust Diver 2 on the PS5 or PS4, something like that. So I have heard great things about this one, but haven't gotten a chance to get around to it as of yet. Elder Rand, I ended up getting this as a gift from my wife for I think my birthday or Christmas or something like that a year or two ago, but haven't gotten a chance to dive into that as of yet. Emio the Smiling Man. I enjoyed my time with this. I'm super happy Nintendo is still willing to release weird things like this. I don't think it sold well at all. I'd be shocked if it ever hits 1 million copies sold, but I hope it does, and I hope it somehow gets some kind of cult success again, because this was really good from what I was able to play. I did not see it through to completion as of yet, but it's just amazing to have another Famicom Detective Club game and to have an M-rated Nintendo published game coming out. There's just something truly unique about that, and truly unique about a weird story-based game like this. So I hope we get to see more of this in the near future. This game was terrible. Everybody won to Switch. I don't think it should have ever come out, but I got it for like $8, and I had a fun afternoon with people. I felt like I almost pissed my pants laughing at people trying to do the Alien game. If you've ever played this, there's an Alien party mode where people have to like stand up and make noises and go ooh ah ah, and we did that at a friend's house one time, and it really made me crack up. But aside from that 30 minutes of hilarity, this is not worth the plastic it was produced in. So really don't like that game. Fairy Fencer F Refrain Chord, have not gotten a chance to play this as of yet. Picked it up because it was an Idea Factory game that was really hard to come by, and I figured I might as well pick it up while it was cheap. Fairy Tale 2, this was a nonsense Woot pickup. I I wasn't able to get Fairy Tale 1 because it was so hard to come by, and then they reprinted that. So I'm in the process of getting Fairy Tale 1 before I play this. And that's why this one has still been sealed. Fantasy Tavern Sextet Trilogy Pack. This is the first edition that comes with some art cards that I cannot show you because I will probably get this video banned. But this is a series of 3 shorter visual novels, probably about 3 to 4 hours each. And it's basically just about you getting transported both back in time, but to another dimension, where there's basically this tavern and it's run by a bunch of women. And then there's also a girl from your world that gets transported over. It's a nonsense visual novel story. It's very fan servicey, but it was decent enough. I enjoyed my time with it. They're also publishing, I believe, another triple pack called Akiba's Heroine that is coming out this month, June 2026. You can get that physically at VGP as well. But that's how I was able to get this copy. I think it's only around $30. You can also play these games on Steam. But if you're kind of a visual novel idiot like I am, this is fun in short bursts. Family Feud is a game that I have surprisingly put a ton of time into, both with myself and family. It does have some funny gags in it. Obviously, you will hit a certain point where you have seen everything if you play a certain number of hours. But if you just play it as a party game with family, I do recommend it. Pharmacia is something that I got day one. It comes in kind of a bigger box that Marvelous likes to do here. It is kind of like a monster hunting farming combo thing. So like you grow the monsters and then you harvest them to be part of your party. It is a weird combination. I've enjoyed what I've played of it, but the characters were so zany and honestly it did not run super well on the Switch that I've kind of held off on playing it. I might play it more on PlayStation or some of the other platforms that it released on. It was good of what I've played so far, but it wasn't ideal on the Switch. So it was kind of one of those later lifecycle games that probably could have used the juice of the Switch 2 a little bit more. Fashion Dreamer is a fairly recent pickup. I got this for my wife for her birthday last year, and she has enjoyed her time with it. I haven't really dabbled into it too much, but I know this is a relatively hard game to come by physically. Something unique about this game is that the Western releases, so like North America, Europe, just a normal fashion game, like totally normal, nothing out of the ordinary, kind of boring, honestly, not a ton of content. You're just kind of customizing the people in the game. The Japanese version, I think, for whatever reason, has an entire visual novel like boyfriend arc where there's a whole story to it. There's this additional bit of content. Like it is very, very random and weird. It goes for tens, if not hundreds of dollars more sometimes because of basically the fact there's a whole another additional game to it. If I'm speaking out of my butt here and somebody knows, obviously correct me if I'm wrong there. But I remember when I was looking this up, I could not figure out why the Japanese version was so much more expensive. And I think it's because there's this whole additional story arc with like basically finding a partner in it. And so that's a little weirdness about the physical copy of Fashion Dreamer and why there's such that disparity between regions, because there's basically a whole nother game at its core if you get a different version of that. All right, continuing on, we have Final Fantasy 1 through 6, the Pixel Remaster. I have not opened this or cracked this open as of yet. This is the import version. I believe you can get this pretty easily now, the ESRB version. I got this back when it was impossible to come by. So I'm so happy that this is much more readily available for people to get physically. Final Fantasy Tactics, this is on very high up on my priority of my backlog right now, but I have not gotten a chance to play it as of yet. There's a couple of upcoming strategy games that are pretty high on that backlog, including some new Fire Emblems and old Fire Emblems that I have to get to. One is not Fire Emblem Engage, though. I've already played the hell out of this game. To my wife's chagrin, I basically played this very quickly after we were engaged ourselves. Fire Emblem Engage, get it? And I played it for about 50 hours straight. It seemed like when it first came out, really enjoyed this title. Obviously, it does not have the story chops as some of the other ones, but I think the combat was incredible. So really enjoyed this one. I have not really played a ton of Fire Emblem Three Houses. Every time I try to get into it, I just, for some reason, can't gel with it. And then the performance issues, again, it's holding me back from a lot of Switch 1 games, and it continues to hold me back from this one. I really do hope that we get some kind of Switch 2 edition or update for this where it helps it, get to that 60 FPS region. But I've heard the kind of social options for this are really, really great, but just have really not dabbled too far into it. But this is on my backlog list, and obviously I'm not going to play Fire Emblem Warriors Three Hopes, which kind of bridges with Three Houses until Three Houses is played. So that's kind of the order of operations there for me. Fitness Boxing Fist of the North Star. I've played a lot of the fitness boxing games before. This was a $5 pickup for me. I am not a fan of Fist of the North Star. I don't really know much about that series or that franchise, but was happy to have it for $5. Again, getting a Switch game for $5 is kind of a no-brainer for me. We do have Goblin Slayer, Another Adventurer, Nightmare Feast. Have not gotten a chance to dabble into this one as of yet, but have heard pretty good things about this. Again, another kind of JRPG strategy-ish game, but we'll get around to that at some point soon. Golden Tee Arcade Classics. Haven't opened this one as of yet, but I know what these are. I've played this I don't know how many times at arcades, at bars. Love the Golden Tee games. There's a lot of really classic ones in here. There's bowling in here, which is weird enough, because I thought originally it was just a bunch of golf games, but they did include Shuffle Shot and a bowling game. So that is cool to see. I got this for like $10 at Best Buy. Grimoire Once More. I basically, anytime there's a Vanillaware game that releases, I will grab it. Have put a little bit of time into this version of this game, but not a ton into it as of yet. But just happy to have this as part of the collection. I think this is a little bit harder to come by. It's one of Vanillaware titles, so those are always a little bit more difficult to come by. Number two, it's published by NIS, so that's kind of like the double whammy of hard to find. Gunbrick Reloaded. I don't know a ton about this game. This was another Woot pickup that I picked up. I think it's actually is a limited run release, it says, or a published title. Looks like it is a boss fight side scroll shooter thing. I don't know. Again, there's so many Switch games, and this is kind of part of what this collection does for me, is that I can go through this and say, maybe I need to curate this a little bit more, because there's some games I don't even remember that I have. So this may be one that I have to do a little bit more research on and figure out, do I want to keep this for the long haul, and actually keep it as part of the backlog. Monopoly or Hasbro Game Night, that includes Monopoly, Risk, and Trivial Pursuit. We have played so much of Trivial Pursuit with my family. It's been really, really funny. Obviously, it's always great to have Monopoly on a Nintendo hardware. I don't know how many versions of Monopoly they've released now for the Switch and Switch 2, but it's a lot. But this is a great triple pack. I don't think they sell this actively anymore, but it's really nice to have these all three physically. Hello Kitty Island Adventure. I was able to pick up for like $15. I believe my wife dabbled in this a little bit. I have not tried this out as of yet. Another Animal Crossing kind of cozy game thing. They literally say, embark on a cozy adventure with Hello Kitty and friends. So they know their audience. They know what they're doing here. Not one I have tried, though. Horizon Chase Turbo is my most recent release, alongside Bang Bang Bandits, which was literally the first game as part of this entire collection video. This was part of that recent pickup I got from VGP. This was delisted just a few days ago, so you can no longer buy this game digitally. This game is fully complete on the cartridge, and one thing that you can do still, if you do have a physical copy, is you can get the DLC for this from the eShop still. So I believe the Senna Forever DLC, the Rookie DLC, and I think there's one more expansion pack, are all still available on the eShop, but it's just for the physical version from what I understand. So you have to have the physical cartridge, which obviously I don't have because it's in my Switch. Where is that? Here we go. Let's complete that. You have to have this physical copy. The version I got is this night cover version. I believe VGP has 3 different versions. They have a PS4 version, they have 2 Switch versions. This is the one that I have. They all have the same thing on the disc overall. But yeah, I would definitely pick that up if you're at all interested in kind of a classic, arcade racer. This is a really, really great game. Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition. And oh, I thought I had another one. But Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, I ended up picking up from GameStop quite a while back. This is the best version of this. Definitely better than the 3DS version that came out. But have not put a ton of time into this as of yet. I do want to, though. I love the ability to play as Midna. I think that's interesting, but not something that I've put a ton of time into. Iwakura Aria, I think I'm pronouncing that right. This is another visual novel. I got this on an error sale with VGP. They had this listed, I think, for $10 accidentally. This is normally a $50 game. I've seen it go on sale for $40 before, but definitely wasn't supposed to be $10. But I was able to get it for $10. I have not gotten a chance to play this as of yet, but I've heard really, really great things about it. Art style kind of reminds me of House and Fata Morgana. So it's something that I'm extremely interested in, but do want to get around to that sooner rather than later. Next up, Just Dance 2021. I got this from my aunt because she was selling off my cousin's Switch collection. She just gave it to me. I haven't really gotten a chance to get to it. From what I understand, though, this was possibly the last version of Just Dance you get on the Switch that was actually a cartridge. Now it's just a digital download if you buy the physical copies, which is kind of upsetting. Kirby and the Forgotten Land, put a decent amount of time into this, I think 6 or 7 hours, 6, 7, but haven't really done anything else besides that. Haven't seen this to completion as of yet, but it did enjoy my time with it. Just kind of got burnt out on it a little bit. Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, played this, I think, was this the one that was also on the Wii? If it was, I played it on that console, I believe, and haven't gotten a chance to open this Switch version as of yet, but wanted to complete my kind of Kirby games here. And then Kirby Star Allies, I played this. This is fine. I think it's way too easy, but it is, a Kirby game, so I don't think there's ever the intention of it being super difficult. But it was good for what I played of it. I did enjoy my time with it. It just wasn't super difficult. And then final one of this stack, Killer Queen Black. Delisted again. They lost the Amazon servers that this was being hosted on, so they just decided to delist it. So the only way you can play this is physically, and the only way you can play it is either in the solo mode or local co-op, which if you can get 8 players, 4 to 8 players to play this in local co-op, it's a great game. Absolutely love it. If you ever played Killer Queen in a physical arcade with a big setup, it's incredible. We had one back when I lived in Jacksonville at a local barcade called Kagan Coin. Incredible game. But it's just a shame that this is what happened to the Switch version, because I feel like it could have had a much longer life if given the opportunity. All right, moving on to the next shelf here. We do have Katara Fables. This is something that I got for $7, I think, at VGP. So it wasn't something that was, super discerning in terms of the purchase, but yet another cozy game. Basically asked my wife if she was at all interested in it. She said yes. So that's why it's part of the collection currently. Next up, we do have Konosuba, God's Blessing on This Wonderful World, Love for the Close of Desire. Honestly, don't really know a ton about this game. It just seemed kind of ridiculous. I know it is a visual novel, so that was already a check in my box, and the title was weird and wacky enough, so something I do plan on getting around to, as I do with most of the visual novels in my collection. Langrisser 1 and 2. I picked up shortly after I had played Fire Emblem Engage. I had heard this is a really good strategy RPG, and this was something that got a reprint through Video Games Plus. I do believe they still have some copies. Again, NIS America, with their initial print allocations being super tiny, you're kind of at a loss if you don't initially get it, and then you kind of have to wait for someone to swoop in and do a secondary reprint. So I was lucky enough to get a affordable MSRP copy there. Little Witch No Betta I picked up at GameStop. Put a little bit of time into this. It's not really my thing, but I could see the merits behind it. I think if it was a little bit more fleshed out, it could be interesting, but it kind of seems a little bit like Souls-like-y dungeon crawly, but they just kind of went a little more cutesy on it. It's just not really something I was super interested in. Live Alive is a game, again, I'm kicking myself that I haven't gotten the chance to get around to. but I do want to give it its fair due here in the near future. Again, so many of these Square Enix RPGs, I just want to be able to say, hey, that's the one game I'm playing right now, and I want to be able to put my time into it. I've heard so many great things about this, and so I do really want to, in the next year or so, be able to play this. This or Final Fantasy Tactics will probably be up there as part of the backlog beast that I'm attacking. Loop Hero, this is a flip cover, so I just have the inside reversed here. This is a really nice physical copy that I was able to get. I think I paid $4 for this, which was really nice because that's basically the price that you can get it for on sale digitally. And this was a numbered copy that I got, I think, from Special Reserve Games. I'll be honest though, not a huge fan of this game. So this may be leaving the collection sooner rather than later. It just wasn't something I super enjoyed. I heard it was pretty addictive overall, but it's not something that I've really gelled with in the few times that I have played it. It's not been like a Blotro level of addiction or anything like that, or something where I just see myself going back to it over and over again. I got the concept, it's just not something that has been super engaging for me in the few times that I've played it. Luigi's Mansion 2 HD and Luigi's Mansion 3. This copy is so chewed up that I got from GameStop. I don't know why. I got to replace that case at some point because I don't think that's on the cover art. I think that is just the case. Oh no, it went through to the cover art, so that's unfortunate. So maybe I got to just replace that whole outer packaging. But yeah, haven't gotten a chance to play Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. I think I played that back on the 3DS back in the day. Have played a decent amount of Luigi's Mansion 3, did enjoy it. But just happy to have, again, that series kind of fully there on, the Switch again. So that's really nice. Lunar Lander Beyond was part of another cheap Woot pickup, so that's why it's here. Mario and Luigi Brothership, I have not gotten a chance to put too much time into. I haven't heard great things about though. So really it's part of the collection because I don't want to years down the line have to try to scrounge around to find it because it didn't sell super well because it was late into the Switch's life cycle. But I'm not eager to put this at the top of my playthrough pile because it didn't review super well. I do like the Mario and Luigi games, but they're always kind of hit or miss, and more recently they've been more of a miss. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but that is part of the collection and probably will be staying. Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope. Now, I did play the first game in this series, but have not played Sparks of Hope as of yet. Mario Golf Super Rush. Do love me some Mario Golf. Do love me some Mario sports games in general, and we got quite a few that will be coming up here, but did have a decent time with the time that I put into this one. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I mean, what can I say about this? I've put hundreds and hundreds of hours into this. It is the most complete Mario Kart that you can play up until this point, and it's just a really, really, really solid version of this game. I believe my copy should be the version that contains a lot of the DLC packs with it, if I still have that copy somewhere. But this might be it. I'd have to double check that, but I believe I bought a copy, or I was looking to buy a copy that contained those additional DLC packs on it, but I would have to double check. If not, that's part of my priority buy list for the Switch One. But absolutely love Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Can't say enough great things about it overall. Mario Party Superstars is really great. I think it's the best one that released on the original Switch. I mean, obviously we only had a couple, but I think it just does a really good job of kind of remastering some of those classic boards. And it's just a really good time with friends and family. Mario Tennis Aces, like I said, we now have Mario Tennis Fever, which is a little bit more party focused. This seemed like a little bit more of an RPG type of approach to the sports game. But it was still good. I'm not going to knock it for that. You can easily find this for $20-25 on the used market all the time. So if you haven't played it already, it's pretty easy to pick up. Mario versus Donkey Kong. This was okay. I did not see this to completion, but I played this for about 10 hours or so. It was good. It just wasn't great. So I had a decent time with it. Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. I have not gotten a chance to dabble too much into this. Obviously, I pretty much know what I'm getting here. It's a bunch of fighting games of old. Love a lot of the games here. Played a lot of these games a ton. I'm not a huge fighting game fan, but the Marvel vs. Capcom games, absolutely love. Obviously, Smash Brothers, absolutely love. There are certain games that I just really gel with, and then the games in this collection are part of those. So was really happy to pick this up, and I have a feeling that unfortunately these will become a lot harder to come by as time goes on. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, The Black Order. I have not gotten a chance to spend too much time with this. I'm honestly hopeful that my wife will want to, because she played a lot of Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2 with her family growing up, but she just seems really averse to playing this on the Switch. I don't know why, but it is something I've wanted to get around to. It was one of those Switch exclusives that I never really understood why it needed to be, but it's something I've always kind of kicked myself for not getting around to earlier in the life cycle. But happy to have this copy. I used to have a couple of copies of this because it just seemed to always be in lots that I was buying, but have whittled that down to just this copy right now, so hopefully I can get around to that soon. Metroid Dread, have only put a couple of hours into this. It's been enjoyable what I've played thus far, but there was just something about it at the time. I think it may have been the difficulty when I was initially playing it that just wasn't gelling with me. I will get back around to it at some point, but right now, if there is a game that is in the Metroid franchise that's getting priority for me, it's Metroid Prime Remastered. I have put a couple of hours into this. It will be my first full playthrough of this. I remember I really wanted for years and years to get the Metroid Prime trilogy on the Wii, when that got a kind of packaged together, and I do hope we get that eventually. We get 1, 2, and 3 in some kind of steelbook package or something like that, like they had on the Wii. But this is great to have overall, and I've really enjoyed my time this far. It's still a great game. It still holds up really well. Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid Burst Forth Chorogan Brett. I don't even know. It's a crazy wacky shmup game. Comes with a little trading card or whatever. This was fine. I didn't play this to completion or anything like that. I got it for a relatively cheap price. Obviously, there's some eclectic characters here, but it was a fine game. I don't have anything bad or particularly great to say about it. The My Sims Cozy Bundle is a game that I bought for my wife basically on day one, and then she has not touched it since, which is really a shame. These were great games back on the Wii. That's where we both originally played them, so that's why I wanted to pick it up. But yeah, we have that now, so when we do feel like getting around to it, we can always go back to that. Miitopia is a game, again, that is getting harder to come by. It's unfortunate that a lot of these Switch 1 games either didn't get a ton of printing or just didn't sell super well to get a lot of reprintings. But this basically just takes what we had on the 3DS in terms of Street Pass and expands it into a full-fledged game. What I have played of this has been enjoyable thus far, but I have not gotten a chance to see it all the way through to the end as of yet. Miracle Snack Shop is a short little visual novel. It's only got 2 really main characters. You kind of run a snow cone shop. It's fun, it's kind of quirky. The physical is exclusive to Play Asia. You can usually get it on sale for like 15 or 20 bucks. I do recommend it. It's not something that's gonna blow you away or anything, but it's a fun little, it's a great palate cleanser game. I'll give it that. It's a great palate cleanser. Neptunia Sisters vs. Sisters, have not gotten a chance to play this one as of yet. I do feel like I should though, because I've heard this is one of the better Neptunia games, but I had this on Switch and PS4 and I opted to keep the Switch copy. Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, this has probably been retread a bunch of times, but really great game. Wasn't able to play it on the Wii U because I didn't have a Wii U, so this was my first opportunity to play this and enjoyed my time with it. Nier Automata, the End of Yora edition. This was described as one of those miracle ports to the Switch 1, and now that we've got those up-reses with the Switch 2, apparently can be even more of a miracle port. I just wish we got the opportunity to boost the frame rate from 30 to 60, because that would make this even better for me. I don't know, I'll be honest, I'm really trying to prioritize games that play their best, right, on the consoles and on the systems as possible. And I've been getting more into PC gaming as well. I do have a ROG Ally Xbox X or Xbox ROG Ally X now. So if I can play something handheld still, but it's still performing well, I'll do that. So this may not stay in the collection. I may want to play this, on PC or via that handheld. But I'll have to do a little bit more research on how this runs on the Switch too before making that determination. Ninja Gaiden Master Collection. Love the Ninja Gaiden series. I recently wrapped up playing 4, and that was really enjoyable. Really great difficulty slider, so if you're not good at these games, 4 does a lot for you, and 4 is available on Xbox and PlayStation and PC, so you have your options there. But this was a really good way if you wanted a refresher, if you had never played any of those, to get those. My copy is still sealed. I own all 3 of these games on different systems, but I really just wanted them all together, before I dove into anything else. And then Ninja Gaiden 2, specifically the black version, came out on PS5 physically as an Asian exclusive import that you get for the PS5. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But this is a great way to play all of these. Not super high fidelity, obviously, because it's a Switch game, but it is a great way to get them all together. Nintendo Switch Sports, it's a fine game. They just announced today, as of the time of filming, June 9th, Nintendo Switch Sports Resort, which looks really interesting. It'll actually have 12 games instead of 6, which is really exciting. So that's really nice. But yeah, I still don't like the fact that we didn't just go with Miis. Like, why do we have these sports characters that look like that? I would rather just have the Miis and it be quirky and weird. So that's just my thoughts on that. We have Octopath Traveler and Octopath Traveler 2. I have put a little bit of time into both of these, but never seen either of these to completion, which I feel is my fault as a JRPG fan for just kind of picking these up and putting these down. But that's something I have to get around to eventually. Omori is a game I've had in my backlog for quite some time. I've heard great things about this one, but has just not really been part of my backlog, next up at any kind of particular point in time. There's always seems to be something else that takes precedent for it. Ooblets is a game that I got when it first came to Switch physically. I was able to get quite a deal on it, but I have heard from the friends that I've loaned it out to that it unfortunately does not run super well. So that has been unfortunate. I imagine playing it on Switch 2 helps it out a little bit, so I do want to try it out to see if that will improve that at all. But I may just opt to buy it on Steam or some other platform if it continues to have performance issues, which would be unfortunate. But was happy to get that physically and happy that some of my friends were able to enjoy it to such a degree. Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, that was a day one purchase for me when it was announced. Obviously a really well regarded RPG. Not something that I've played through on the Switch as of yet, to its completion. But I mean, it's Paper Mario. It's something I'm definitely going to pick up. Paper Mario: The Origami King. Again, haven't played this to its completion, but I've put a decent amount of time into it. I don't really like the way that the combat works, where you're kind of turning that dial to kind of change your position and attack and everything like that. Besides that, it's a fine game. It's been a fine game from what I've played so far. Pepper Grinder is a short little game. I haven't gotten to beat it yet. But I feel like I just got to find a free weekend and kind of knock it out, because I think it's only about 4 hours or so. Phantom Brave: The Lost Hero, I picked up at Best Buy not too long ago. Still sealed, haven't gotten a chance to dive into this yet. But I did play the first Phantom Brave game and really enjoyed it, so that's why this was part of the collection. Bunch of Pikmin games here, Pikmin 1 and 2, Pikmin 3, and Pikmin 4. The only one of which I have really put a lot of time into so far has been Pikmin 3. So I'm wanting to go back in order and do 1, 2, and then fully complete 3 and then do 4. But obviously that's a lot of game time. So I have to figure out, when I'm really going to have time to do that. Pokemon Legends Arceus, I got as part of a game lot that I picked up on Facebook Marketplace not too long ago. Played ZA before I played this. Don't really like pass settings for a lot of games, but this is something that I heard was one of the better Pokemon games, so I do have to get around to this at some point, but probably before Wind and Waves comes out. So that's probably what I'll aim for. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. This is my wife's copy of the game. Was never really super into these style of games that kind of juxtapose alongside the mobile game versions, but we have it. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX. This was one of the last physical first-party Nintendo games that I had left that I had not bought yet. This is a very, very recent pickup, as in like the last 2 months or so. The listing was a little bit bizarre. He listed it as brand new and sealed. It was actually used, but inside the game case was a copy of Mystery Dungeon DX, which I have in kind of my folio of Switch games here, that if I ever lost would be thousands of dollars, I'd be out. But also tucked inside like the little corner things here, where they normally hold pamphlets, was another Pokemon game. So that other Pokemon game paid for this one, so I'm not really going to be upset about the fact that it wasn't brand new, because I've been planning on playing it anyway. Pokemon Scarlet, plus the Hidden Treasure of Area Zero DLC. Even though it just advertises that one, I believe this is fully complete on cartridge. This is an import version that has the Middle East and Southeast Asia import or whatever, even though it has the ESRB on it. And I know it says download required, but I believe, like I said, it has everything on here, both the Teal Mask and Indigo, whatever. I don't know. I played Scarlet when it came out. Obviously, it ran at 10 to 15 frames per second. I put that down immediately and said, I'll wait for the Switch 2 to come out. Then the Switch 2 came out, and it obviously had the 4K 60 FPS patch, and I was like, great. I've mainly been playing Violet instead of Scarlet, but I have both because my wife has a Switch 2 as well, and I do want to try to convince her for us to do kind of a simultaneous playthrough, right? So she plays Scarlet, I play Violet, or vice versa. I don't really care, but I just want us to be able to go through that together at 4K 60 FPS, with the game actually running well. So that's kind of the plan there. New Pokemon Snap. This is a sealed copy, but I have played through this game previously 100%, but sold off that other copy previously, but just wanted to make sure I had that back in the collection. Really, really enjoyed my time with that one. Here is Pokemon Violet. Like I said, this is the one that I have used previously. So I don't know if I've used that 100 Pokeballs, so somebody may be able to try to download that. But yeah, I'm happy that these finally run how they should have from day one. Pokken Tournament DX, another Wii U game that got a Switch 1 port. Have played a little bit of this, but not a ton. This one also came with a card that I ended up selling off, and that paid for the game. So that was great for me. I'm not a big Pokemon card person, so I don't really dabble into that. A lot of that just kind of feels like gambling to me. So if that can help pay for the things I'm actually going to use, which are the games, I'll do that all day. Princess Peach Showtime, have not gotten a chance to play this one as of yet. Puzzle Bobble, Every Bubble. I started playing this, and I'll be honest, I was terrible at it. I couldn't get past one of the levels, and so then I just put it down. But I needed to go back and kind of give this a chance at some point soon. Raging Loop was part of a GameStop pickup that I made with, like I said, a bunch of visual novels at one point. Have not gotten a chance to play this, but I've heard really great things about this one. We have a couple of Raiden games, which are shmups. This is Raiden 3, Mikado Mania, and this is Raiden 4, Mikado Remix. Both of these are shmups. Both of them I have played a little bit of, but not played too much of, in terms of seeing them through to the end, because I'm a big lover of shmups, but terrible at them, in all honesty. So that's where those kind of stand right now. All right, so I think we're about halfway done through the Switch 1 games, which that's crazy, right? Anyway, let's keep it going. This is Romancing Saga 2, which now does have a Switch 2 edition, which makes it run and look so much better. This is a beautiful game, a little bit odd in the fact that it is a JRPG where you don't really stay attached to any of your characters because they age and die after a certain amount of gameplay, and then you play as their heirs, or you play as, people who are basically their next generation. It may be in 20 years, it may be 100 years down the line, but you don't really stay attached to those characters, which feels a little bit weird for a JRPG. But I've enjoyed what I've played of it thus far. I think I have about 17 hours or so into it, but just kind of hit a lull in it and never really went back to it. But I have enjoyed it thus far. I would recommend, if you have a Switch 2, though, absolutely buy that upgrade because it makes it so much more enjoyable. RP Golf Legends, have not put a ton of time into this one as of yet, but I believe this was a limited run release. Yes, it was. And I got this for just a few bucks on sale, I think at Woot. So that was part of why that was added to the collection. I have a few Rune Factory games. Rune Factory 3 special, 4 special, and 5 here on the Switch 1. Have not gotten a chance to play these as of yet. Like I said, put a ton of time into Guardians of Zuma, which is a Switch 2 game, but these are ones I do have to get back into at some point. Samba de Amigo Party Central. I put like an hour of playtime into this, but never really dabbled much beyond that. I basically tried it out, but didn't go much farther. Saviors of Sapphire Wings and Stranger of Sword City Revisited. These are dungeon crawlers, and these were really hard to come by for a very long time. VGP did a reprint, jumped on that opportunity, and then have not gotten the chance to really go too deep into this. This was definitely a case of FOMO in terms of me buying it, but I'm happy to have it as part of the collection because it does still feel like there's a big fear of missing out if you don't pick these up, because this is a super, super niche style of gameplay, super niche genre. And not something that I feel like will get a secondary reprint at any point. Shim is a little indie game. It's a little 3D platformer. You kind of stick to shadows to move between them. I've heard good things about this. This was another Woot pickup, but I haven't gotten a chance to play this as of yet. It is still sealed. Seabed, I played through. It was okay. It wasn't super great. It is definitely more of the Yuri visual novel type, but the story kind of became nonsensical about halfway through, and so you're just kind of trying to keep track of things. I think it becomes nonsensical on purpose because one of the characters like loses their memory, but I don't know, it becomes way too bizarre without spoiling anything. So it's fine. If you can get it on sale at Play Asia, go for it. Sea of Stars, this is a physical copy. This is not an IM8-bit version. This is just a regular retail version. So I may try to upgrade this at some point or just switch to having this on Steam. But this is part of my Switch 1 collection right now. Senran Kagura Peach Ball is the pinball Senran Kagura game. And I have played a decent amount of this. It is fine. What stinks is that there's only a few boards as part of it. So like if you're a pinball fan like I am, there's not much there. But I have a feeling the majority of the people who bought this weren't really buying it for the pinball aspect like I was. Shadow Labyrinth, I feel like I bought this a couple of times. I think I might have bought it once on PlayStation and then I bought it on the Switch. I got this for like $10 on Woot. I really do love the Pac-Man franchise, the Pac-Man series, and I enjoyed the Amazon like short thing that they did. I forget what it was called, but I've heard middling things about this game, so I'm a little bit worried in terms of when I go to play it. But happy to have that for now, and we'll get around to it eventually. Shiren the Wanderer. This game is pretty hard to come by. I know VGP will occasionally carry restocks of it, but it's been kind of hard to find. I was glad I was able to get it at launch. I got it for quite a discount. I think I got it for like $30. But if you find any of the Shiren games, really, they're kind of rare to come by on the Switch 1. So if you are at all interested in those, this is my copy of Signalis. This is one of the most expensive Switch 1 games that I own because I don't know if you can see it. The camera's probably not going to pick that up. But this is one of the original print versions from Humble Games that has the digital Polaroid or the art card Polaroid in it, which has meant that I have not opened this and played it as of yet. I own this now on Steam, which is how when I do go to play it, I will play it, but I will probably keep this sealed for the foreseeable future unless it plummets in value, because it just would hurt me to really kill the value of this. And that's kind of the pain of sometimes owning physical games, is that were I just to open this and kind of play it as intended, or as I had originally intended, it would shed like $100 in value. It's kind of crazy. But luckily this game has gotten reprints physically, so you can actually play it at, you know, a reasonable $40 or $50. But this version, for whatever, with that specific art card, goes for a significant amount more, because it was, you know, exclusive to that kind of original printing. So that's where we're at with that one. Since Memories, Off the Starry Sky, I've put a couple of hours into this. Kind of got bored and sidetracked with it. Again, another visual novel, but hasn't really grabbed my attention from what I've played thus far, unfortunately. Snipper Clips plus Cut It Out Together. Played a couple of hours of this with my wife so far. We have enjoyed it. It's an interesting kind of puzzle game, but not something we spent too much time into. We'll probably play it in small bursts on some of our date nights over the coming months, but happy to have this because I didn't have it until very recently, but I know this was one of those Switch launch titles. Sonic Superstars, not much to say about that. SNK Heroines, this is a import version, and I believe I had gotten this as part of and that's why that sticky note was there. I gotten this as part of a game lot, and so I was trying to price it out as if I was going to sell it. And then I realized it was kind of hard to come by an ESRB version of this, so I said, let me just keep this you know, import version, and then just see how things go. If it ever does get a reprint of an ESRB version, maybe we'll go for that, but for right now that's going to remain in the collection. Have played this quite a bit. I played this back in the day, I think 2017 or 2018 when it originally came out, and enjoyed my time with it. Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 3, these are the reverse covers, so if we open these up, we have the regular editions. This is a card that I got from the Zelda Splatfest that they had, and they had these cards at GameStop, so this was, you know, way back in the day, 2023. But really enjoyed both of these games. I put way more time into Splatoon 2 just because I was in college towards the end of, or towards when that game came out, and I had a lot more free time. But Splatoon 3, obviously, if you're going to get a game today, get Splatoon 3. It's a much more fleshed out game. I'm very excited for Splatoon Raiders. I do hope that we do get another full-fledged Splatoon game that has all three aspects, so co-op, multiplayer, and single player, rather than just co-op and single player. But, you know, it is what it is. Nintendo's going to make what they're going to make. Star Wars Pinball, a highly underrated game, all complete on the cartridge. A ton of tables on this, which is really great. I don't believe they sell this digitally anymore, so I think physical is the only way that you can play this. It's still available for like $20 on the used market though, so something that you can still obtain for a relatively cheap price. Story of Seasons: A Wonderful Life. This is a remake or a remaster, I think, of this version of the game. Probably one of the only good Story of Seasons games, in my opinion, that's released from that generation. The most recent one, I think my wife enjoyed a decent amount, but this was regarded as one of the best ones. And so that's why we were so excited about it releasing. I need to put some more time into that one, though. Super Bomberman R, another launch title for the Switch one. Put a few hours into this. Didn't grab me a ton, but Super Bomberman games are always a good time to just hit up and kind of go back to. But something that you can easily get for about 15 or 20 bucks. Something that you can't is Super Mario 3D All-Stars, which Nintendo did the really crappy policy of making it just a limited release, and they've never released it again. Now you can get Super Mario Galaxy with Super Mario Galaxy 2 in a bundle pack for, I think it's $70 still. So not limited, but you're limited by the amount of funds in your wallet because they're price gouging you on those. So you're either going to pay 40 bucks each for these digitally and not be able to get Sunshine or 64, or you know, you're gonna have to track down a physical copy of this for $80 to $120, which really stinks, because these are all three great games and I feel like should have been available to everybody for the foreseeable future, but that's Nintendo. All right, we are on the last full shelf of single, you know, regular size standard games. Leading that off is going to be Super Mario 3D World, right? Yeah, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. Enjoyed my time with this. Again, another Wii U game that I never really got the chance to play until it was ported to the Switch, and then Bowser's Fury is a really great addition to it. Kind of makes it worthwhile if you had played the original on the Wii U, so really did enjoy adding that to the collection. Super Mario Bros. Wonder, possibly my favorite 2D platformer Mario game available on the Switch 1. And now there's a Switch 2 version as well that's added some more. Haven't gotten a chance to play that expansion or anything like that, but this base game alone, I think has enough content to keep you engaged for 20 plus hours. So really enjoyed my time with that, and really enjoyed my time with this game overall. Super Mario Maker 2, I did not get as much satisfaction out of this as I think some other people did, but it's a fine game. Super Mario Maker is a great franchise. I do hope we see another one on the Switch too. But yeah, it's fine. I'm happy to have it as part of the collection. Super Mario Party, as I said earlier, I think it's the worst one that you're going to get on the original Switch, but it is still a Mario Party game, so you're still going to have fun with it. I just think that the motion control minigames kind of stink for this one, and that's kind of where it makes it the worst one. Super Mario Party Jamboree, it's my second favorite. I think it has the most original ideas because it's the newest, kind of iteration, because it is new board and everything like that. But I feel like there was a lot that could have been done. I feel like that's where the Switch 2 version came in. I feel like they may have held back a few things for that version. But it's pretty good overall. Again, still have fun with it. It's still a Mario Party game. You're still going to be able to have fun if you have friends and family around. But I still do think that just the regular old, Mario Party Superstars is going to be the best bang for your buck out of the three. Super Mario RPG, really enjoyed this. I'm glad this was released on the Switch 1. Played this from beginning to end. Wish we could get more weird, kind of quirky ports like this from ye olden Nintendo days. I don't think this sold as well as Nintendo was hoping, but I hope it sold well enough that we get some kind of follow-up like this in the future. Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania and Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble. Have not played Banana Mania on the Switch yet, but I have played a decent amount of Banana Rumble, and this is the one that comes with an art book. It's the Banana, or the Legendary Banana Edition. So, do love me some Super Monkey Ball. I am not the best at those games, but they are a good time. Got to be in the right headspace for them though. Same thing like Katamari games. You basically just have to be in the mood to be in for some wacky antics and such. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, I put 100 plus hours into this game, played it with friends. I'm probably the worst amongst my friends at this. I'll just Kirby down B on you as a way of ending my own misery, and get out of there with my life while everybody else smashes me as Bowser or DK. So that's kind of how that goes for me. Sushi Striker Way of the Sushido. I had this on 3DS back in the day, and then I was able to pick this up I think for $5 at GameStop. It's actually a pretty engaging and entertaining game. Kind of like a matching game almost, but it definitely runs better on the Switch. I think this is my old receipt for it. Let me see. Did I actually get it for $5? $7.59. So I was mistaken here. Oh no, wait, I may have paid $0 for it with trading credit. So, technically, if we're using gamer math, I paid $0 for that because my trade-in was for more than that. So that's nice. But yeah, that's Sushi Striker. We have Taiko no Tetsutsen Rhythm Festival, which is a really enjoyable game. My copy here is sealed, but I have played this on a friend's little plastic drum set, and obviously love playing these at the arcades that have them as well. Didn't really feel a desire to play this when I lived in an apartment when I originally got it, because I did not want to wake up the neighbors with a plastic drum or anything like that. But now that I live in my own home and have my own concrete walls around me, I would feel a little bit less bad about playing that. Tales from Toyotoki, Arrival of the Witch is a visual novel. It's a kinetic visual novel, so you don't really get to make decisions. You kind of just go along with the story. It's a fine story. I don't think it's groundbreaking or anything like that. But it is interesting enough. I do recommend it, especially if you can get it for $20 or less physically. I know it's also available on Steam and PlayStation as well, so not a ton of other kind of roadblocks to you being able to play that if you are interested in visual novels like I am. But it was a good enough time. It was definitely something more obscure. I don't think I haven't seen a lot of reviews or anything for it, but it did offer some, interesting enough twists to its story to keep me engaged. Tetris 99, I do have a physical copy of this because I wanted to ensure that, once it went offline, that I still had a copy of it. Really, really enjoyed this game. Love having at least one Tetris game on every system that I have. The Bridge Curse 2, The Extrication, I have not gotten a chance to play as of yet. This is a horror game. Love horror games. Don't think this runs super well on the Switch, but maybe something I need to look into as to whether or not I want to keep as part of the library if I can get it elsewhere and it runs a little bit better. The Doink Soft collection. Really, this was a way of upgrading my Demon Throttle copy because they had always said, hey, Demon Throttle is only ever going to be physical. And it's the only way you can get it, and it's going to be super hard to get. And they basically just lied about that whole thing because, yes, that was the only way you can get it physically. But then they came out with this triple pack, which is often cheaper than just getting Demon Throttle by itself, and this comes with 3 games on the cartridge. So would much prefer to have this with Gato Roboto and Gumbrella on it as well as Demon Throttle. So that's why I have that triple pack instead of just Demon Throttle. House of the Dead 2 remake was another Woot pickup. This is still sealed. Haven't heard great things about these House of the Dead remake games, but I do love a good light gun game. So that will be something that I do get around to eventually. I do want to compare this with the recently picked up Bing Bang Bandits, because again, Bing Bang Bandits is a brand new, say that 4 times fast. Bang Bang Bandits is a newer, Switch 2 game, right? And this is obviously a remake that I heard wasn't done super well of an older arcade game. So I do want to see how those compare with Switch 2 hardware. The 100-line Last Defense Academy. What can I say about this game without spoiling a ton of crazy stuff? I won't say too much about it, other than just play this game. May of 2025 saw 2 JRPGs release on the same day. One was Clair Obscur Expedition 33 and the 100-line Last Defense Academy. I would go as far to venture and say that this game blows Expedition 33 out of the water if you have any kind of discerning judgment about you. I love Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I think it's a great game. This game subverts all expectations. It does the strategy RPG and the visual novel genres better than almost any other game that has been out in recent memory. There are so many twists and turns, and there are so many different ways that you can play through it. The character building, the wackiness, the zaniness, it's so much fun. There's just so much content to enjoy here. And it also never takes itself too damn seriously. And so that's something that I feel like Expedition 33 does too much of. I can't recommend this enough. This is available on Switch and Steam right now. I'm really hopeful that this gets support to PlayStation so they can actually have a second life to it, because I feel like it didn't sell super well. 1, because it was buried by Expedition 33, but 2, it's just a very niche kind of obscure thing. And I promise you, and my wife can kind of attest to it, even if it's not normally your thing, this is absolutely an insane game that you want to give a chance to. So this has my highest recommendation. I'm currently on my 2nd playthrough, trying to get a different ending, so absolutely recommend it. The Last Worker, I ended up picking up ironically from Amazon. If you played this game, you know why that's ironic. This copy is still sealed because I played it on another platform first, but I'm happy to have that as part of my physical Switch collection. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. This is one of my early copies, I believe. I've picked up several copies of this, right? Because there's probably like 60 or 70 million of these that have been sold at this point. But this is something that I'm waiting to hopefully one day get the Switch 2 edition of and upgrade this copy. I have played this through to completion, but my biggest complaint about it was that it just never ran well. You would get to highly populated areas, or you'd be fighting a boss enemy and the frames would dip below 20. And so that would always annoy me. But still, overall, pretty much a masterpiece, right? I just really prefer the old style, more linear Zeldas, like Twilight Princess and things of that nature, in my opinion. The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, was really happy to see this get an update for Switch 2. Doesn't have a Switch 2 edition per se, but got an update so that it ran better, and have enjoyed what I played thus far of this. Haven't completed it as of yet, but I've enjoyed it so far. The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, really enjoyed my time with this one as well. Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD, this one is still sealed, but this is basically just the HD version, just a better running version of the original Skyward Sword that came out on the Wii. Played the heck out of that game back in the day, so was happy to get this as part of my Switch collection. And then we have The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. If you watched my video last year, you remember I highlighted that this did have some sun or water damage. So this copy is completely toast, and it's really unfortunate because this is part of my collector's edition. So I did lend this out to a friend, unfortunately, and I think they left it in a windowsill. Yeah, so literally parts of the game are just falling all over my desk because they're coming out of this cover. And so that really, really sucks. But it is what it is. There's nothing you can do about it. But it's a lesson learned to keep your games out of the sun and to keep your games in a stable climate or environment where they're not going to get sun damage. But that's another reason why, even though I have the big old, fat collector's edition, I would like to upgrade this to the Switch 2 edition. I have held off on playing this all the way through because the frame rate is just abysmal, and I don't feel like it's stable enough for me to really enjoy it, and that's a big problem for me, as you've heard me say with a bunch of these games. So I'd like to be able to upgrade this, with obviously the listing saying game case damage, but everything else is fine, and then hopefully just do a 1-for-1 trade, right, of a Switch 2 edition. So that's what I'll probably plan to do in the near future here. The silver case to 2425, I believe, is another kind of visual novel type, but this is a game by Suda51, which, if you know some of his other games, means that you're probably in for a wild ride. So I won't say too much more on that one. Haven't seen this one to its conclusion yet, but got that as part of that big GameStop pickup of visual novels and more obscure games that somebody had traded in. The Wonderful 101, I do have the Switch version here. Didn't get to play this on the Wii U, but it's a Platinum game, so I had to pick that up once I heard it was coming to the original Switch. They Always Run is a game that I got for really cheap at Video Games Plus to try to add to my order to get free shipping. Haven't gotten a chance to dabble into this one as of yet. Tokyo Mirage Sessions, FE Encore, or Sharp, on whatever it is. It's a mashup between Fire Emblem and Persona, which I've now played multiple games of and haven't dabbled into this one as of yet. So this should probably be on my list at some point soon. Tokyo Clan Pool. This is a game that is exclusive to Play Asia. You cannot play this in a lot of regions. There are restrictions around, again, the way that the characters look and the ages that certain Western publishers, audiences, Nintendo of America, things like that, have determined they don't want to, approve of. You run into a lot of the same things with the Neptunia games, things like that. This game isn't great from what I have played. My main issue with this is the game that made me keep my original Switch hardware and proved to me that that was something I needed to do, because this does not run, the last time that I played it, on my Switch 2. This is an example of a game that is listed as running normally via backwards compatibility. It does not. You will get about an hour or so into the game, and then it will just crash at the same point in a dungeon every single time if you try to play this on a Switch 2. You have to play this on a Switch 1 or else it will not run. So that is why I've kept my Switch Lite and a couple of my Switch OLEDs around, because this, along with some other physical games that I've played, will either encounter those game breaking issues or just issues that pop up that make it not worth playing on the Switch 2, which is really disappointing. But that's going to be a more niche use case, but for me, something I've run into. Treasures of the Aegean, I don't even know how to say it. It's like a platformer or puzzle solving game. This has drifted in and out of my collection for a while. I don't know if it's something I'll keep in there long term. It's kind of just been one of those add to cart to kind of hit an order total game, but yeah, that's where that stands right now. Tokyo Xanadu EX Plus is a game that I really want to get around to. I just finished recently Trails in the Sky first chapter, so I've kind of fallen in love with a lot of the Falcom games, and this is something I definitely want to play before the next Tokyo Xanadu game comes out, but do have that on the Switch. Tomodachi Life, Living the Dream. Really funny what I've played thus far. Definitely don't have the 30 plus hours that a lot of my friends have in this game already, but have enjoyed the comedy of this thus far. The 3DS version was already super charming, and just having this on modern hardware is really great as well. So really happy that this was available for both Switch 1 and Switch 2 owners as well. I'm glad that wasn't an exclusive. Triangle Strategy. I believe this was originally called Project Triangle Strategy, but this is a tactical RPG, which is, if you've noticed from some of the games shown, I really love those type of games. So this is something I'm happy to have in the collection. Haven't gotten a chance to play as of yet, though. Trigger Witch is another import exclusive, something you can get from Play Asia. I don't know if you can actually buy it directly from their website anymore. You can still get it digitally, so it's not like it's completely unavailable. But it's a side-scrolling kind of bullet shooter. It's really interesting, really funny story, and I won't spoil anything for it, but it's got a really weird ending and kind of boss fight. Really, really fun. Really great palate cleanser game, but still something I absolutely recommend. This is the Trine Ultimate Collection. This includes Trine 1 through 4. I believe we are getting a Trine 5 or a Trine 6 soon, which is crazy. I played through Trine, I think 1 through 3 in the past. Have not played 4 as of yet, and I think if there's a 5 or a 6, definitely haven't played those. But happy to have that physically, all on the disc, all on the cartridge, excuse me. The next game is Tsukahime, which is part of the Blue Glass Moon series franchise. I don't even know what you want to call it. It's a visual novel. It's a very niche visual novel series that they have one printing of when they release these games and then never again. So I bought the physical version of this, which went for $80. I got like a copy at GameStop that somebody had canceled their pre-order on. And now if you want to get this physically, you're looking at $130 to $150, which really, really, really sucks. The great thing about it is it's still available digitally. So that's the positive of it. So if you absolutely want to play this, you can. But if you want to get it physically, like myself, these are games that you have to get a pre-order in on, which really stinks. The Turok Trilogy bundle, I have played a little bit of this recently after picking it up. This is super fun. I love boomer shooters. This is the definition of a boomer shooter. These are the originals that were ported. This was a really good port from what I've played this far. I did play it on Switch 2, so I may have a little bit better performance than on the original Switch 1, but obviously you don't need super powerful hardware to run these. On the inside cover, you have the little raptor slash there, which I think is really cool. But I've really enjoyed my time with these thus far. Mainly put my time into the original Turok, but really, really, really like these games thus far, so I've enjoyed my time with those. WarioWare Get It Together, I do still have sealed here. WarioWare Move It, I have put a little bit more time into. Obviously, these are mini game compilations, fast thinking puzzle games. Really enjoyed my time with the WarioWare series on the Wii. And so these are games I definitely wanted to pick up once I could get them for the appropriate price. Because I think when they launched, they were like $50 or $60. And that was just not something I was willing to pay at the time, I'll be honest. I think I ended up getting both of these for about $20 or $25 each. So that's much more attainable for me. We Love Katamari Reroll plus Royal Reverie. I have slowly been moving my Katamari games from Switch to PlayStation or PC, basically to other platforms. Because the Switch versions, as much as I love them, not the best way to play them in my opinion. I think the gyro controls are amazing, but now that we have other handhelds that also have gyro controls, like PC handhelds, I found a lot more preference for that, and just having to lug around these physical copies kind of stinks. But I can't recommend Katamari games enough. They're great. They're fantastic games. So if you haven't played them before, absolutely do so. Werewolf Heart of the Forest. I don't know a ton about this game. This was another kind of just added to cart pickup with Woot. So that's all I can really say about that one. World of Horror is a really, really unique horror game. Basically done, I think it was like in Microsoft Paint or something like that. It's got some H.P. Lovecraft elements in it. My copy is still sealed. I have it on PC, so I've kept this Switch copy sealed. This is a thick, hefty copy though. This is a Fan Gamer published game, and it comes with a bunch of extra goodies in it as well, like there's an art book and things like that. So happy to have this. I think this is one of the coolest covers to any Switch game that there is, just because the art style is so unique. All right, some rapid fire Xenoblade games. So we have Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna the Golden Country, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. So we have 5 Xenoblade Chronicles games here. all of which, with the exception possibly of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, The Golden Country, have Nintendo Switch 2 editions either out or coming out. So Xenoblade Chronicles X got the definitive edition, Switch 2 edition first, and then just announced today, June 9th, at a Nintendo Direct, we got Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Chronicles 2 and 3 all got release dates or announcements for both a physical upgrade as well as a Switch 2 edition. I'm hopeful that's going to include Chronicles 2, Torna the Golden Country, because it's its own prequel story and its own kind of, physical that you could get, obviously. But just happy to have all of these. Again, I love having an entire series on a platform. I had waited patiently for so long to play all of these with those upreses. So I basically didn't start playing Xenoblade Chronicles X until that Switch 2 update came out. It wasn't the best update, I'll be honest, but it was much better than playing it just on the Switch 1. And I had kept the rest of these sealed, waiting for that. I had a loose physical copy of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 for a while, but I wanted to go in order, right? Xenoblade Chronicles X is its own thing, so I didn't mind playing that first, but I wanted to go in order of this. And they just announced Xenoblade Genesis, which looks incredible. I'm so excited to see what Monolith Soft can do with this new hardware, this capable hardware, something that is at least at a PS4 Pro level and not something that's 15-year-old hardware internally. I can't wait to see what they do with it, and the fact that we're going to be able to play all of these with some modern looking graphics and some modern frame rates is going to be incredible. So happy to have all of those. Yoshi's Crafted World, a very easy kind of definition of a baby game, but it's a good game overall. Ys 10 Nordics, have not gotten a chance to dabble too much into this, but again, another Falcom game that I want to get into. I am focusing more on the Trails games right now before I go too much into Tokyo Xanadu or the East titles, but it is something I definitely will get around to. I have loved everything I've played so far from Falcom. Yu-Gi-Oh! Early Days Collection, I don't know why I had a little study there. Same thing with the cards here. I will probably sell this card sometime in the near future. The card is worth more than the game, apparently. You can sell the card for like 30 or 35 bucks. It comes brand new with the Early Days Collection. And the game itself goes for 20 bucks. The card by itself for Yu-Gi-Oh! Fans goes for like 30 or 35 bucks. So that's an advantage. If you want to do a quick flip and make some money, there you go. You can pay for the game yourself. Yum Yum Cookstar. This is a Cooking Mama ripoff by the people who made the Switch version of Cooking Mama. And it's basically the same thing with different characters. It's a really bad game, but it does its job. It is Cooking Mama. That's basically all it is. Last standard game that I have here is Eurokill. It gives, honestly, Danganronpa vibes a lot. It is a kind of murder mystery visual novel thing. It's fine of what I've played thus far. It's not, hugely entertaining, but it does its job as a game. So that is rounding out all of our standard games. Let me go ahead and grab some of our big boxes here. All right. So right before we get into the big boxes, I did find one more game, Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator. This did drop on the ground, unfortunately, while I was going through some of the other games. So that is the last standard one. But when you have over 200 games, it kind of gets lost in the fray sometimes. We will start with some games that I have that are Play Asia limited edition copies. So these are kind of big box versions, numbered versions that we have. The first is going to be Omen of Sorrow. This is a fighting game. This is number 1610. Have not gotten a chance to play this one as of yet, but I've heard pretty good things about it. I don't know if the Switch version is going to be the best performing version that you can get, but again, have the limited edition of it. Next up, we do have Sea Horizon. Honestly, don't know too much about this. Was able to get this for a really, really cheap price. Number 1512, I think, out of either 2,000 or 3,000. All of these Play Asia exclusives will have like the game, a soundtrack, a numbered certificate, and then a manual inside of it, and they all have kind of this standard big box printing, which makes it look really nice on the shelf together if you have a bunch of them. But sometimes it's just cheaper to get the limited edition when they have sales versus the regular edition, so that's why I have it. One that was definitely not cheaper and one that is way too expensive now is the Cosmo Dreamer and Like Dreamer Double D Collection. This is a game that I've really wanted to play, but have not yet because it has gone up so much in value for this limited edition. I believe this is Oh my God, it's number 67. I'm going to just off myself. That's insane. That's crazy. So this is a couple of shmup games that obviously have a very certain cutesy art style, but also have a very, other certain art style attached to them. But this was limited to 2,000 copies. And I got number 67, evidently. I did not know that would be a meme. So there we go. This is worth about, I think at the time of recording, about $170 sealed. So that's why I haven't opened it as of yet. I think I may buy a standard edition of this. It goes on sale pretty regularly for about 20 to 25 bucks because I do want to play this sometime soon. Next up, we do have Chaos Code, New Sign of Catastrophe. I believe this is a fighting type game. This is number 911. I wish I could make this stuff up. This is crazy. But again, this was another limited edition that I got just because the limited edition was cheaper. I believe this is the second limited edition they ever did as part of Play Asia. So that's cool. And I believe this was done by Arc System Works. So, people who are really, really in favor, they do a lot of fighting game stuff themselves. So Rush Rally Collection is one that I've actually opened before. I keep the plastic on all these just to make sure they don't get super, super dusty. But this is one that I've opened before. This is number 1541. This includes 2 Rush Rally games. So this is Rush Rally 3 and Rush Rally Origins Edition. As you can see, it includes a copy of the soundtrack. You have your Switch game there. You have your little numbered certificate, again, 1541 out of 2000. So it's a nice little package. It's a nice little bundle. Again, I don't really prioritize big box versions. I kind of prefer the standard version the majority of the time. But if they're going to charge me less for said limited edition, I will buy said limited edition. I do not have a problem with that whatsoever. Rush Rally is a pretty good game from what I have played. There's nothing, too crazy about it. I don't think it runs super well on the Switch, but it's been fine what I've played of it thus far. Sword and Fairy Inn 2, have not played a ton of this. I know this is actually a pretty hard one to come by now, even the regular editions of it. So I haven't really checked the values on this as of late. Again, another limited edition that I got because it was cheaper to get the limited edition at the time I bought it. But this is kind of like a cafe manager, or you're managing in, excuse me. So was kind of interested in that aspect. Senses Midnight, I believe this is like a horror game type of thing. Number 1427, might be out of 2000. I also there was another Senses game that was available on PS5. It was really hard to come by. This might be the same one, but there's 2 in this series. I've heard middling things about this, but got it for really cheap. Twin Blades of the Three Kingdoms. I believe this is a strategy. Yeah, retro style RPG based on the classic novel Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Haven't gotten a chance to play this one as of yet. Mainly because I kind of backed myself into a corner with these limited editions because, again, a lot of them went up so much in value that it was like, it feels kind of bad to open these. So I guess I'll buy the regular editions and then sell these at some point. So that's kind of where I've been at with those. Now, one that I was happy that I opened early, so I didn't have to worry too much about that, was the Annapurna Interactive Collection. I have talked about this in a couple of videos before. This is a collection of 12 different Annapurna games on one Switch cartridge. Donut County, Gorgoa, Hindsight, I Am Dead, If Found, Kentucky Route Zero TV Edition, Neon White, Sayonara Wild Heart, Solar Ash, The Artful Escape, The Pathless, and What Remains of Edith Finch. I have currently played Donut County, I have played Neon White, I have played The Pathless, and What Remains of Edith Finch. I cannot say that. So I've played about a third of the games on this. The other interesting thing about, other than the fact that there's 12 of these on one cartridge, is that it comes with this book that gives you kind of like a table of contents. It kind of gives you a little art on each game and kind of a forward by the creators of each game. So it's this really cool, nice hardcover, kind of summary of each of these. And then aside from this, it also came with, I don't have it with me right now, but it came with a Switch case, like an Annapurna Switch case, and a little cartridge holder. I don't know why you'd need a 4 cartridge holder when all of them are on the same cartridge. But this only had 2,500 copies ever made, and it had a retail price of like $200 when it came out, and it was $25 for shipping. So really, it was like $225 that you were paying for this collection. So this goes for quite a bit nowadays. If you want a new copy of this, there's not that many of them left, but they can sometimes reach, when they do sell, about like the $500 range. My open complete in box copy will probably hit around $370, $400 if you want one. So as much as it was a huge expense at the time, and still now to this day, this is the cheapest way, it seems, to get these 12 Annapurna games if you want them physically. And to have them all on one cartridge, one, it saves me shelf space, because prior to this, I had Neon White and I had the Pathless physically on a Switch cartridge. I was able to sell both of those to help pay for this version. But the other thing is just that if you want to get all of these, one, I don't think all of these are available on the Switch One unless you get it through this version. And number two, even if they are, you're talking about each of those being $40 a piece. It's way more than the original $200 asking price that this was. So a steep asking price when it first came out, but in my opinion, it was very much worth it. Next up, we have the Nintendo World Championship NES Edition. This is the big version that came with the cartridge. This is my least favorite version out of all the regions. We got like a replica game pack and a pin set and some art cards. I much preferred like the Asian versions where you could just spend $25 or $30 and just get the base game. Again, I'm not a big fan of big box versions. Very rarely do I care about that stuff. So I have a couple of games like the Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Collector's Edition and the Bayonetta 3 Collector's Edition and Fire Emblem Engage that I have the big box Collector's Editions of, right? Those are games that I knew I would love, wanted to prioritize getting the Collector's Edition. This is not something I need a giant box for. This is not something I need a fake cartridge that doesn't work for. This just seems like it's a waste. This could have been $30 instead of $60 when it came out. So that kind of stinks, but it is what it is. My copy is still sealed. So maybe, one day I'll get my money back on that. Here's my other Akiba's Trip game. This is Undead and Undressed, the director's cut. Has some extra goodies in here. Looks like a soundtrack, musical selection CD, 9 full color art cards, and then you can use the cardstock playing pieces you need to tour the city and win, it says. So that's fun. Here is that other piece of Farmagia, that Day 1 edition. Again, it just comes with a soundtrack and art book and things like that. Marvelous and Xseed love to do those for a lot of those games. Again, I would rather just save about $5 to $10 and just get a regular standard edition of the game, but that's what they do. And then the final one in this little bit is going to be Silent Hope Day 1 edition. Same thing, that Marvelous and Xseed kind of standard thing. You get a copy of the game, you get an art book, you get the soundtrack. Again, I would rather just get a cheaper version of just the base game, but that's just me. Anyway, we have reached the end of our little collection here. That has been well over 200 games. I will probably put a final count here somewhere in the video description or the title or something like that. But it's been a lot. Let me just put away this Rush Rally game here. But yeah, obviously I love collecting games. At some point though, you do have to decide whether or not you want to keep doing it, right? So part of these yearly videos is one, I love sharing these collections with my viewers here, and I love just kind of cataloging it for myself. But another thing is it's really good for me to reflect and say, do I really need all of these things, right? And so part of what I will do following this video is probably go through all these shelves and say, hey, do I really need Ninth Dawn? Do I need Gunbrick, right? These are games that I'm taking mental notes of as we're going through these, and I'm saying, I don't either know what this is or I don't really care to play this. My backlog is huge. Obviously, there is 200 games in this Switch collection I've played. Thankfully, the majority of these, at least somewhat, right? Between Switch 1 and Switch 2. I can't say that same thing for like my PS4, my PS5, and my Xbox collection, right? I'd probably say my PS5 collection, if I looked at it, I probably have 100 games in that. I've probably only played completely through about a quarter of those, which really stinks. There's not enough time that I have as a working adult, with a family and responsibilities to play through all these games. So I have to learn to prioritize things at some point, right? And for the games that just don't hold my interest, it's time to let somebody else enjoy those instead. So I do try to sell those off. So if I do get those games listed before those are posted, those will be linked down in the description. I'll have those linked to either my eBay or to my Mercari sites, which is where I like to sell off a lot of my games. But that's the advantage of having physical games, is that once you either complete them or once you decide you no longer need those games in your life, you can let them go. So that's part of the curated collection journey, is going through all of these games. Let me know your thoughts down below. Has your Switch 1 and Switch 2 collection expanded? Has it decreased since the Switch 2 has come out? I know I've definitely focused on only buying games that I'm really planning on playing in the near term, and trying to focus on games that really are bringing me kind of the most joy for the amount of hours and the amount of money that I'm spending, because games have not gotten any cheaper, especially when we're talking about the physical format. So if you haven't seen them before, I have some other collection videos on my channel: PS3, 360, Wii U, PS4, PS5, basically everything from 7th gen up to now. So would absolutely love for you to check those out. Leave a like and comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Absolutely trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the summer, so I can get, honestly, that full monetization, so I can continue making whatever you guys would like to see more of. Have more reviews incoming for games. Have a review of that Xbox ROG Ally X coming as well. So just let me know what you'd like to see down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully it was an enjoyable and kind of cozy, relaxing watch as I kind of rambled and went through all these games with you, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.